Welcome, everybody. I can see a few confused faces out there. Yes, this is a talk about AI. It's about our evolving relationship with animals and other technologies, but it's about a little more. In fact, well, it's about a lot more, you might have noticed. We're going to get to human livers on machines. Now, why livers? Let's begin with that one. Well, I've been thinking about livers for about 20 years now. And because the liver is an amazing organ, it's not as romantic as the heart, maybe, it's not as glamorous as the brain, but it really is the multitasking ninja of your body. It's incredible. So forgive the recency bias here, I was trying to find an analogy to really hit this point home, and I decided Eurovision was it. Next year we'll win. I was at Eurovision, and I was blown away, beyond the songs and dance and politics. I was really blown away by the stage production. In fact, the changeover between sets would put any Formula One pit crew to absolute shame. The unsung hero there is that stage director. That is a multitasking ninja, and that is your liver, right? It does absolutely amazing things. We're going to put on a glove. Well, actually, let's take the clicker first. So, we will get to a different kind of machine learning here. But first, let's backtrack. Let's start the story with a fact that you might not have fully appreciated. So there's been a very big change in medical research recently, in as much as the FDA recently stated that it no longer requires animal testing. And that is big, not just because of the ethics of it, because that's important to us too, but because regulators are acknowledging that animals are not massively predictive. And many of us that, if you have a pet, you'll get that. So for example, who here loves chocolate? All right, come on, a little bit more honesty here. Who here has ever fed chocolate to their dog? You'll only, all right, you only made that mistake once, right, sir? Yeah. All right, but unfortunately, this is the mistake we've been making over and over and over again in medical research. In fact, over the last few decades, we've cured so many diseases in mice, only to find out that the therapies are, at best, probably useless when they get to humans, or at worst, pretty nasty. And so what that means for us is that in our lifetimes, all of us here are going to start using medicines that were 100% developed in humans. But that's the rub, in humans. Who here, again, we have biohackers, we have people who are happy to experiment on themselves, but I'm fairly sure that no one here would be very happy taking big risk for science, yeah? Okay, so let's use an example of a medicine that I've now touched with the wrong hand. I'll wash it afterwards. In here is a highly experimental RNA medicine. It's one of the many RNA medicines that my team are making. If you're familiar with the RNA COVID vaccines, similar idea, similar technology, but this is really targeted at the liver. This is a medicine that is designed to reduce the inflammation in your liver. Now, I did say it's very new, or this is very new at early stages, very experimental. Could also kill you. Who here would like to line up to test it out? No, right? Oh, come on. There's always one in the audience. Why? You're not making my argument. All right. And I don't blame you. Of course, I probably don't need to worry too much about my hands, but I'm not going to lick that bottle, that's for sure. Let me raise the stakes a little. I'm going to ask everybody in this room, so again, we'll have audience participation, right? Look to the person on your left. Go on, do it. There you go. And now look to the person on your right. Well done, all of you. I love this part. One of you has too much fat in your liver. The kind of fat... Oh, that got them. Oh, wait, there's more. There's absolutely more. Oh, that's hilarious. That's the first time. No, it's quite tragic, folks. It's the kind of fat that over time leads to inflammation, the kind of inflammation we're thinking about, the kind of inflammation that over time will cause scarring and over time will cause cirrhosis. is a huge issue, so much so that in the UK now, liver disease and that type of cycle is the 5th leading cause of premature death. It's huge, and it can catch absolutely any one of us off guard. Now, I'm going to get a different kind of response, not a laugh this time. We've known each other for a minute or two now, so we're going to get intimate. I'm going to show you a picture of my internal organs. So if this is not your vibe, look away now, right? That's a picture of my liver. Well, at least there was a picture of my liver a few years ago before I did something about it. The backstory is I was having my gallbladder out, and I said to the surgeon, listen, I'm kind of like a liver guy, so when you're in there, would you mind doing a little bit of a photo shoot? I'd love to see my liver. Which he did very nicely, but unfortunately, I realized my liver looked a little bit plump, and it kind of looked pale. A healthy liver is quite a nice, robust, beautiful rate. Well, beautiful for some, right? But I was the one of us here in this room that had too much fat in my liver. I'm the one of us who loves food, hates exercise, right? We're all familiar with this. I was doing to my liver what French goose farmers do to make foie gras. Foie gras, in French, literally translates as fatty liver. Now, knowing how prevalent and how big an issue this is, who here would like to sign up to try the medicine? No? No? Right. Let's try something else. Bosses. Family, friends? No? Okay. If we're not going to do animals and we're not going to do humans, what else do we do? And the what else is AI. This is algorithms. This is where these come in. So what you're looking at is a very different type of algorithm. This is a really clever one we use in our labs. It understands images. So we can analyze thousands upon thousands of human liver images. It breaks each image into smaller images, and then it tries to look for patterns. It's looking for relationships. It's super smart. In fact, it's much smarter than the average human expert, but not just smart. What it's doing is highly creative. What it's trying to do is distill a lot of very complex ideas, complex data, into something much simpler. It tries to create the kind of abstraction that you see here in yellow. And what it's doing is exactly what abstract artists have been trying to do for decades. Does anyone recognize that? Absolutely. This, of course, is one of the many beautiful paintings by the Dutch, in fact, abstract painter Mondrian, who really, after the war, became obsessed with this notion of how to distill the many complexities of the evolving post-war society, both sides of the pond, into beautiful geometries. And this is his representation of New York, which famously was hanging upside down for many years. I'm not an art critic. Mondrian really gave us one of my favorite quotes of all time. He said that the realization of equivalent relationships, so complex humans, simple abstractions, is of the highest importance for life. And I couldn't agree with him more. This is why we celebrate this man as a genius. This is why when I got up this morning, I put on my Mondrian socks quite proudly for this. I mean, it's how every genius wants to be celebrated, right? He captured so much of the scientific process. This is exactly what many of us do every day. It's what Einstein did. Einstein took very complex ideas, extremely complex physics, distilled it down to a simple equation, E equals mc squared, so that he could have a conversation with us. That is what this algorithm is doing. It is distilling very complex ideas down to something simple, a simple abstraction, so that it can have a conversation with humans. So this is how humans are learning from AI. But how does AI learn? Well, the reason why ChatGPT has been so enormously successful is because it's had all of the world's just knowledge and languages to work from. We don't have that luxury in medical science. We need to go and generate the data. Now, I could go and do millions of animal experiments and then train the algorithms on that, but then the algorithms would just make the same bad predictions that the animals have been doing all the time. You can see where I'm going with this, right? We need to be training on humans. And because none of you are willing to step up and train my algorithms, we need to do this. So these type of machines we've been using and modifying for many years to keep human livers alive outside of the body. So that's where the blood goes in, and you can see a little bit of the urine coming out there. I bet you didn't know a liver could pee. Bet you didn't even know that if you're an organ donor, there's a very good chance that your liver will never be transplanted. And that's for many reasons, from logistics all the way through to no matching recipient. And if your liver is consented for research, it comes to us. And so we've taken many of these types of machines, and we've built a new type of ICU in New York, an organ ICU, where the patients, if we can call them that, are really livers. And we're not just doing this in the US, we're doing it globally. We have a team in Taiwan, and we have a team more locally here in Oxford. So across the planet, we are generating more data in human livers than anyone else on the planet. We are digitizing human biology in the liver. And we're using these digital imprints, this data, to teach, train algorithms. So that's where this beautiful conversation begins to take off. Algorithms are learning from humans who are learning from algorithms. Many of us are beginning to say that this is what the future of collaboration in science will be. And it's enabling a lot of super cool things, not least of which is moving away from animals towards a more human-based science. But there really are two other things that I would like to leave with you that I think are super cool. One is about the speed that this style of science enables, and the other one is about just the scale of impact. If you know a little bit about how medicines are made, you'll appreciate that it takes about 10 to 15 years to go from an idea to making a medicine to generating human data around that medicine. With this style of science, my team and I can go from an idea to printing an RNA medicine to generating data around that RNA medicine in weeks, not 10 to 15 years. Now, of course, it's not perfect. This is not a whole human being. These type of model systems never are 100%. But what they are allowing us to do is to iterate very quickly. It's allowing us to fail fast so that by the time we actually do put these medicines in you, we're a lot more sure about what they're going to do. But I think to finish off, it's really the scale of impact that this science has that will resonate with so many of us. Right now, let's imagine that this style of science is ubiquitous. It's all over, so that any organ that isn't transplanted can be used to very quickly shape ideas about new therapies. Right now, the vision for transplant medicine is that the gift of my liver may get to save one life. My vision, my hope for this kind of style of science is that the gift of my liver will get to save over 1.5 million lives who die of chronic liver disease every year. And that's amazing. Thank you.